Phantom Pain. Cynthia wept in the dark. The tears came freely, as they so often did these days. She was aware of the cold wind entering through the open window at her back, but only in the same subconscious manner in which she was aware of her breath frosting the air. It was noted in a dim corner of her mind, the same dim corner wherein she spent most of her time since the accident. She had been running mostly on autopilot the past 3 weeks, trusting to instinct to keep her fed and bathed. In truth, she could not remember a single meal or shower since her days of being a mother and a wife. She was neither now, and it was this thought that occupied most of her cognitive process. She recognized the cold steel of the .22 caliber in her left hand, was aware of its weight, but that, too, was only a subconscious glimmer. Her mind spent the vast majority of its time focused on Megan and Tom, as it did so now. Behind the many images of her late daughter and husband was a voice that belonged to neither, yet sounded familiar to her nonetheless. It was soft at first, so soft she could not make out what it said when she awoke in the hospital minus her family and most of her right arm. The voice had been increasing in volume every day since, and she could understand it quite clearly now. "Just put it in your mouth and pull the trigger," it soothed. "The pain will vanish, and you'll be with them again. That's what you want. That's what they want. One quick and painless instant, and you'll all be together again." If Cynthia believed in the afterlife, she would have taken the advice already. She would have done it the moment she came home from the hospital, not even waited for her sister to leave. But she did not believe in the afterlife, or God, or much of anything else. Oh, she used to. She was raised Catholic, went to Catholic schools, and attended church on a semi-regular basis. But that had been another life, another person. That Cynthia Daniels was a married woman with a young daughter, a good career, and a good life. That Cynthia Daniels had her shit together. The Cynthia Daniels sitting on her bed with the window open behind her at 3 a.m. on a mid-January night in New Jersey was not her. Not anymore. "Shut the fuck up," she whispered to the voice. It was the first time she had spoken to it. Indeed, the first words she had spoken in a week. Her voice sounded strange to her, a startling and unexpected presence in the dark. She rubbed her forehead with the back of her hand. She removed her finger from the trigger as she did so. It was a subconscious move, something her husband had ingrained into her head when he trained her in the .22's use. Had the move registered with her, she would have laughed. Instead, she dropped the gun onto the bed. She tried to grasp her head with both hands before she remembered she was one shy. She looked at the bandaged stump of her right arm as if seeing it for the first time. In the darkness of the bedroom, she could just make out its silhouette. Then she did laugh. It was a short, garbled bark that sounded as ugly as it did loud in the blackness around her. She tried to stop herself, but the laughter continued unabated. That dim part of her mind informed her she would have sounded insane to anyone who heard her laughter. She tried to reply, but she was unable to get a word out. The laughter might have lasted as long as 20 minutes. When Cynthia regained control, she watched herself stand up and walk into the bedroom suite's bathroom. She turned on the tap and held her mouth to it and drank quickly and deeply. The water felt almost warm in the freezing air around her. She drank until she felt she would burst, and then she returned to the bed. The moon came out of hiding in the cloudy sky and cast her bedroom in a ghostly light. Her eyes fell on the framed photo on her nightstand. The happy little girl that smiled back at her had no fucking idea what lay ahead of her. The sun was shining on her. The trees behind her were green and full of life. She was dressed in her favorite outfit, the pink t-shirt with the rose stitched off-center to the left in her denim shorts. Cynthia realized she could not remember when the picture was taken. Megan looked to be about 5 years old, so that would make the photo. She did not know. Fresh tears spilled from her eyes, and the photo became a blurred mess. She reached for it and then stopped herself. Her eyes went to the 22, but only for a moment. She returned her gaze to the photo, and she blinked back the tears and tried to see it clearly. She was so focused on the photo she did not realize it when she passed out.